Do you think the world has learned its lesson from COVID-19? Think again. The next pandemic is not a possibility, it is inevitable. And disturbingly, leading scientists warn that the world may be even less prepared today than it was before the coronavirus struck. Malik Piras, one of the world's most respected virologists, sounded the alarm. He was the first to identify the deadly SARS virus in 2003. He has studied epidemics for decades, and his message is chilling. Another respiratory pandemic is coming. The question is not if, but when. Why are pandemics inevitable? To answer this, we must look at the forces that drive them. In the last few decades, the transfer of viruses from animals to humans has accelerated dramatically. SARS, swine flu, MERS, Ebola, Zika, and finally COVID-19. Every 3 to 4 years, a new outbreak emerges. The cycle is quickening, and the causes lie in our own behavior. First, consider the way we raise animals. Modern farming packs chickens, pigs, and cattle into overcrowded spaces. Viruses thrive in these conditions, mutating and spreading rapidly. A single infected bird can pass the disease to thousands in days. Because these animals share nearly identical genetics, a virus can sweep through entire populations without resistance. Once it makes the jump to humans, the results can be catastrophic. Second, humanity's hunger for exotic pets and wild animal products has created a new highway for viruses. Wild species that should remain in forests and jungles are brought into markets, cages, and homes. This unnatural mixing of species opens the door for unknown pathogens to cross the species barrier. History shows that many of the most dangerous viruses, Ebola, HIV, and coronaviruses, originated in this way. Third, globalization has turned local outbreaks into global threats. A virus that begins in a single city can be carried to every continent within hours. One infected traveler boarding a plane is all it takes to ignite a worldwide disaster. In the age of rapid travel, geography offers no protection. But not all viruses are equal in their danger. Scientists agree that the greatest threat comes from respiratory viruses. Ebola is terrifying, but it requires direct contact. Zika spreads through mosquitoes, limiting its reach. Respiratory viruses like influenza and coronaviruses are far more dangerous because they spread silently, from person to person, through the air. In a crowded train, a stadium, or even a family gathering, infection can multiply exponentially. Imagine this scenario. A new respiratory virus emerges from a crowded poultry farm. Within weeks, cases appear in cities across the world. Hospitals overflow, governments scramble, economies collapse. The panic we saw during COVID-19 could return on a larger, deadlier scale. What have we learned since the last pandemic? Not enough. Despite advances in vaccines and treatments, society has shown dangerous weaknesses. Vaccine refusal fueled by misinformation. Protests against masks. Governments slow to act, prioritizing politics over science. In many ways, humanity has become more divided and less prepared. This is why Piras calls for urgent global cooperation. No single country can stop a pandemic alone. Only international coordination, led by the World Health Organization, can make a difference. We need systems in place long before the next outbreak begins. Rapid diagnostics to identify unknown pathogens. Stockpiles of vaccines and treatments ready for immediate deployment. And most importantly, a unified commitment to act fast when danger appears. Prevention is not only possible, it is essential. Intensive farming practices must change. The global trade in wild animals must be controlled. Surveillance in high-risk regions must expand, so outbreaks are detected early. The One Health approach, treating human, animal, and environmental health as one system, offers a path forward. If we ignore the health of animals and ecosystems, we cannot protect ourselves. Climate change adds another layer of risk. As forests are destroyed, humans and wildlife come into closer contact. Rising temperatures expand the range of disease-carrying insects like mosquitoes, bringing viruses to new regions. The disruption of natural habitats creates countless new opportunities for viruses to jump into human populations. There are success stories to learn from. Hong Kong, for example, has managed poultry markets with strict regulations. By vaccinating chickens and regularly clearing markets, they have prevented major outbreaks of bird flu since 1997. Science and prevention work, but only if governments are willing to act decisively. The lesson is clear: the next pandemic will test humanity's resolve. Will we ignore the warnings, or will we act? Will we allow politics, profit, and misinformation to blind us again? Or will we build stronger systems, based on science and cooperation, to protect the future? The choice belongs to us, but time is running out. Every year that passes without reform, the risk grows greater. Every outbreak we ignore brings us closer to disaster. The next pandemic is coming, and when it does, the world cannot afford to repeat the mistakes of the past. The message of Malik Piras is not one of despair, but of warning. Humanity has the tools to prepare. We have the science, the knowledge, and the technology. What we lack is the will. Preparedness requires investment. It requires trust in science. It requires cooperation across borders, cultures, and ideologies. The next pandemic may begin in a crowded market, or in a factory farm, or in a forest where humans push deeper into wildlife habitats. But wherever it begins, it will not stay there for long. In a matter of hours, it will be at our doorstep. The world has a choice: to continue as before, vulnerable and divided, or to unite and prepare. The next pandemic is inevitable. But whether it destroys us, or whether we rise above it, depends on what we choose to do today.